Since we use our GoPros in the ocean every day, we thought we'd do a little comparison and see what we thought of the different footage coming from the 8, the 10, and the 11. So why 8, 10, and 11? Well, the first generation of GoPros that culminated in the Hero4 were great, and then the 5 was kind of its own standalone with a waterproof case, sort of. You know, we drowned like 8 of them. It wasn't quite waterproof. And then the 6 got a new processor and they reworked all of the software. 6, 7, and 8 were that generation, and 8 was the last of that generation and the most stable by far between the 6 and 7 and 8. And then 9, 10, 11 are the current generation. And so 11 just came out. 10 has been very stable for us. We've loved it. And we thought we'd compare the best of last generation, the 8, with the 2 most recent of this generation, 10 and 11. So what we did is we looked at, on the Pro Tune, we did 4K 60 frames per second video, linear lens, hyper smooth on, which with whatever it offered on the different cameras. We set it to minus 0.5 EV comp. We kept the white balance consistent at 4500K across all 3 cameras because auto white balance really gets wacky when you go under the water. So you kind of have to fix that. And then ISO minimum 100, max 800. When you're under the water, you can't get too precise on things. So we leave the sharpness on high, but the ISO on the lower end, per the recommendations of a professional photographer buddy of ours. And it seems to work pretty well. So with those settings consistent across the 3 GoPros, we dove in. And we don't have a real fancy thing to mount all 3 of them together so they have the exact same frame. So we were just holding them and doing our best to capture the same stuff. But I think you'll get the gist of it. So in these first clips, some dolphins swam by, and you can see the difference as we go above the water and then below the water. The 8 is darker, the 10 is a little bit lighter, and then the 11 is a little bit more green. The most true to what it actually looked like to our eyes is the 10. And then as the dolphins swam under us, you can see the difference in clarity between the 8, 10, and 11 gets a little bit more interesting, where the 11 has more true to life color of the dorsal shading on the dolphins. But the 10 is still close. The 8 is a little bit lacking there. Then we took some full HD pictures, and you can see in this comparison, the 8 really focused on the GoPro pole that was hanging down and got its colors pretty true to life, but then everything else turned green. The 10 and the 11 were fairly similar. If we look at one more photo here, you can see all 3 are about the same, of a rock down on the seafloor. Again, the 8, even with no pole to focus on, was still green. The other 2 are more true to life. The 11 is probably the most true to life, where you can actually see some of the actual gray in the rock color, more than the 10. So let's just look at 10 and 11, zoomed in a little bit. So this is cropped down, and the detail looks about the same to me, but the color is just slightly different. And to be honest, when it's cropped down like this, I like the 10 a little bit better. We asked Final Cut Pro to automatically change the color, autocorrect the color, and this is what we got. So the 11, it kind of washed it out to gray. 10, it just lightened the blue a little bit. So then we went under the water in an area with more rocks and some caves, and took a look at how the low light did. And honestly, these being upside down and trying to sync up these cameras didn't work super well. But I honestly think that the low light was about the same in all three. And all of us kind of agree that we're doing this experiment. We all think that the low light was about the same between the three cameras. So one of the features, though, that GoPro dropped in the 11 is the quick capture for time-lapse photos. So quick capture is when you hit the top button when the camera is totally off, it'll start video. If you hold the button down for a few seconds, then it'll start time-lapse photos. With the quick capture taken out and not a significant difference between the 10 and 11 in video and photo quality, I think we're just going to stick with the 10 and we'll see what next year brings. Please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.